Hey, what's going on, boys? This is Coach Iggs, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 8 champions who got buffed and nerfed in patch 12.6 and how their win rates have been affected by the changes that the Balance team gave them, and there are some big swingers here. We're talking champions who were once OP but are now pretty bad, and we're talking champions who were once bad but are now broken. So to know exactly what has happened on the Summoner's Rift landscape, make sure you stick around for the whole video, and if you haven't already, also make sure to check out the GameLeap website, linked in the description and comment section, because our challenger players and coaches from around the world are still uploading so many videos a week for your benefit. We're talking champion courses where we teach you how to play the champs. We're talking high elo vote analyses where we go through what players like Faker and the best in the world do that so many people don't. So we have everything on the website. Get that exclusive access by signing up, and let's get into the video. So we're going to start by talking about the 4 buff champions and how their win rates have changed in the last few days. And the first one is Nidalee. Her win rate has improved by over 0.5%, and that's because of the 4 buffs that came in. So the fact that your human form W, your bushwhack where you put a trap down, this is costing less mana. Your E or primal surge in human form where you heal and give that champion attack speed, the mana cost at later levels is also down for this, and the cast range is a lot higher. So this means you can empower your teammates more and also save them in more situations. And the last buff is to your Cougar form's powers, so the AoE damage radius is a little bit higher, which helps for clearing camps. It helps for landing your pounce when you spear them or the enemy champion walks over a trap. So these are really nice buffs and kind of quality of life buffs, but it's only been around a 0.5% increase in win rate because Nidalee is so darn hard to play. This champion has one of the highest skill ceilings, and these stats are from all ranks, so there's definitely going to be some Kadeems out there who are playing Nidalee and affecting the win rate, but in high reload she has an even better win rate than she did before because she is so much better because of these buffs. Now speaking of being better because of buffs, we have to talk about Jax next, and for this champion, for his W's base damage to increase, which is what you max first, and then for his base HP to also be higher, which makes him one of the healthiest champions in the early game, these buffs have seen Jax's win rate improve by 0.6%. So it's not like monumental, but it certainly has improved a champion who may not have even needed the buffs in the first place. The extra W damage, if you can time this with your third strike, does a ridiculous amount of damage, and the base HP increase enables you to get out of the early game into the mid to late game, which is when you can pop off. So having this early game security because of the HP buff is really nice, but is it as nice as the Darius buff that hit the Rift in 12.6, where your ultimate's minimum true damage got increased? Well, according to these stats, no, because Darius's win rate has improved by almost double what Jax's has, so over 1%, and you can see that Darius's pick rate is almost 10% now, and his ban rate is a whopping 22.6%, and this is across all ranks, of course, so in lower elos it's definitely going to be higher, but this is where most people play, and the buff has certainly made a big impact on almost 250,000 Darius games since 12.6 hit the Rift. So Darius players are definitely getting more kills because of the buff, they're snowballing more and just winning lane and then game more, so definitely watch out for Darius this patch. But the champion who has benefited the most from 12.6, this is the Emperor of Shurima, and this is Azir, and his win rate is now almost 48%. This used to be like 45% for so long, but the buff to your HP per level, meaning you're getting over 200 at level 18, this has been huge, and a legit huge. This is not me clickbaiting, this is real. His win rate as a result has improved by over 2.3%, and kind of like Jax, because you're getting more HP now, it means you can scale in just so many more games, because that was the problem before. Even if you did scale and get to 2 to 3 items, your team would be so far behind because you're not really a champion until the late game. But now you're a lot harder to punish, you're a lot harder to kill, so you won't be 0-5 as much. The only issue is that Azir is still very hard to play, especially for lower elo players, but even still, this increase in win rate, it means that a high skilled champion like Azir is so much more viable, and you can see that his win rate overall is almost what Nidalee's is. That really tells the story. And just before we reveal the win rates, guys, of the champions who did get nerfed this patch, make sure to leave any thoughts on future videos. Like, what do you guys want to see? Do you want to see more countdown videos? Do you want to see more guides? Do you want to see more macro based stuff? Let us know your ideas down below. We can definitely help you guys out to achieve your goals in season 12 on the YouTube channel. Now let's talk about the 4 champions who got nerfed in 12.6, and starting us off, the champion who has hated 12.6 the most is Hecarim. His win rate is now down below 47% overall. This is down almost 3.5%, and this is because of those damage nerfs to your Q and also your E. This means that if you're playing Chem Tank, Muramana, Hecarim, because the base damage has been decreased, you're not going to be dealing as much damage, and really you're just playing Tank Hecarim, which really isn't the way you should be going. Building Divine Sundra, maybe Triforce, or even Stridebreaker I've seen is definitely the way to go. So Tankerim is completely dead because of these nerfs, as illustrated by these numbers. Now the next champion we have to talk about is another one like Hecarim who has really been dominating pro play play, and this is Tryndamere. But I don't think he's going to dominate pro play really for that much longer, because the nerfs have decreased his win rate by over 1.3% in the last few days, and that's because your ultimate is on a longer cooldown, and your E's cooldown when you crit something is not going to be refunded for as much. So if you're playing against a Tryndamere, that Tryndamere is not going to be spinning around as much during the laning phase, and during the late game, of course, which is when they'll have a lot of attack speed and getting lots of spins off. And because his ultimate in the early game is on a longer cooldown, he is just more punishable. It's less obnoxious to play against, so his laning phase is weaker, and he's also less mobile, so he is more killable, which is represented in the decrease in numbers here. Now, next up, we have to talk about another top laner who got some adjustments, kind of like quality of life changes in 12.6, and this is Illaoi, but there has been one in particular that has caused her win rate to drop over 1%, and this is the change to your Q and E. So nearby enemy champions can now see you cast your Q and E when you're in Fog of War, which makes it a lot easier to dodge. And if you're trying to ambush the enemy champion, especially with your E, because this is really what makes or breaks the laning phase, you are just going to be hitting them less, and this means damage. This means they can punish you as well for missing them. So this bug fix, which Riot have called it, is really just a big nerf. Even though there are other lots of good things in this patch for Illaoi, so the Leap of Faith change, maybe the spell queuing is good, but none of this really compares to the Fog of War nerf, and this is reflected in Illaoi's huge drop in win rates for just quality of life changes. Now, speaking of another champion who wasn't really buffed or nerfed, but this champion actually benefited from the changes in 12.6, and this is Rengar. And Rengar's win rate has improved across the board by almost 2%, and for a champion who does have a high skill ceiling, and he's kind of niche, like you have to know how to clear your jungle camps, you have to know how to stack your ferocity and keep this when you're using your ultimate, so there are certainly some specificities you have to know about. So when Rengar's win rate improves by this much, especially when his pick rate you can see is improved by over 4.5%, this is a serious buff and a good thing for you Rengar players. So the fact that your Q is now going to crit, your ferocity stacks last longer, this has enabled you to get more kills because you'll be dealing more damage, and your Q is also scaling with crit. And we might even have to consider here the new Treasure Hunter rune, which is giving you gold for each takedown you get, and because you're a jungle Rengar, you're probably going to have all of these stacks and all of the gold it's giving you, which is probably over 500 gold, by the 10-15 minute mark, especially once you use your ultimate a few times. So this is going to accelerate your scaling and get you more of those offensive items, so you'll be one-shotting people a lot quicker. So this patch has been really nice for Rengar, and we mentioned him in yesterday's secretly OP champions video, so he's definitely worth considering in 12.6 in the jungle. So those were, guys, the 8 champions who got changed since 12.6 hit the rift and what has actually happened to them. So if you did enjoy the video, remember to let us know by leaving a like down below. Leave any of your thoughts in the comment section, and of course I will see you in tomorrow's daily upload. This has been Coach Peace.